And joining us to talk more about the border is Lieutenant Chris Olivarez of the Texas Department of Public Safety. It is good to see you again, Lieutenant Olivarez. Appreciate you making the time. And we know that migrant crossings are down at the border dramatically. In some areas, thousands of crossings less per day than a year ago. How does it actually feel on the ground level? Does it feel like the border crisis is on its way to being solved?
Well, I mean, we're on a good start right now, and of course, as you mentioned, just a historic, decrease in illegal border crossings. If you look back, there was 8,000 legal border crossings that were reported for the month of February, and if you look at the prior year, it was close to 5,000. We were averaging anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500 a day. So right now, being able to get the numbers down to 200, 300 a day is significant. It does alleviate the strain on resources, both state and federal, and allows us as a state police agency to focus more on criminal threats, focus more on human smuggling, drug trafficking, and those that would pose a threat to public safety in our state as well as the entire country. So we are in a good start, but of course there's more work to be done. I mean, there is so much damage that has been done in the last 4 years, and we're starting to uncover that when you see some of these high-profile arrests by ICE agents with criminal illegal immigrants that are involved in heinous crimes, including, sex crimes against children, murder, kidnapping, robberies. I mean, just really shows how, the amount of people that were released to the country unvetted. And of course, that's why I say there's still more work to be done on both sides at the federal and state level.
This week, Politico reported a group of prominent military contractors, including former Blackwater CEO Eric Prince, have proposed using civilian-managed processing camps on military bases to carry out deportations. What do you make of this proposal? And is Eric Prince right that the government needs the private sector's help with deportations?
Obviously that's going to be a call for the federal government, but I do believe right now they need all the help they can get. I mean, they are short-staffed as far as Border Patrol agents and just the overall amount of resources at every different, federal agency. And it just goes back again to the last 4 years where there has been so much damage done to some of these agencies as well that they weren't able to carry out their duties and fulfill their job in securing the country. Now that they're able to with new leadership, they have to also get back on track and try to fulfill some of those obligations, fill the manpower on pretty much every spectrum across every federal agency. So I would think they would need all the help they can get. That's why we continue to provide support at the state level with our operations in Texas, trying to provide as much as we can to the federal government, whether it's manpower, technology, or even some of these detention facilities where we can offer land so they can actually construct and develop detention centers. So it would be great. It would alleviate some agents. So you don't have to have agents in those detention centers processing. You could actually use private citizens. So I think now that's something that they can look at and that would really be beneficial to them.
Are there any potential pitfalls or issues that you can anticipate with the private sector getting involved with deportations?
Well, I mean, of course, there is, right? Of course, you have to look at training, right? The training also, what is going to be the overall objective with that? And I don't know exactly what kind of plan they would put in place as far as at the federal level. I can tell you at the state level, I mean, when we started our operation back, 4 years ago, we had input from, people that wanted to participate, private citizens, to patrol private ranches. But of course, we look at it as, we are the subject matter experts. We rather allow our police officers, our law enforcement officers to patrol these ranches and actually enforce law enforcement duties. But of course, it's something a little bit different now when you're talking about processing and actually manning detention facilities at the federal level. It could work, but again, there could be some downside to that as well. But I think that's something that the federal government is looking at.
Okay, Lieutenant Olivares, I want to get your take. The Trump administration creating a registry for people who are in the U.S. illegally, 14 and older. He says those who do not sign up could be fined or prosecuted. How realistic, how effective will this be that anyone living in this country illegally would just out themselves and register for this list?
Yeah, I talked about this, and I actually said, it is a good idea, but again, are you going to get those that are actually going to come forward and register? Now, it does act as a deterrent as well when you have those consequences, telling people that if you don't register, there is going to be consequences against you if you are caught. So it can kind of work both ways. And now it would be beneficial to those that do come forward and register, because there could be some type of incentive in the long run as far as where you could possibly claim asylum and actually get into the country legally, as opposed to not registering and have these consequences where you could be banned or not even register at all for years to come. So I think it can kind of go both ways. Now, it would be beneficial to the federal government to keep track of those that are in the country right now, to have an accurate number. And also it would help us as well in Texas to actually know how many people came across that border and how many are in our state as well that are not registered. So, I can see there is pros and cons to everything that we're talking about right now. But again, the challenge is trying to get those to come forward to actually register. That's going to be the challenge in itself.
Yeah, certainly. Lieutenant Chris Olivarez, appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.